Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a bit about my last week in games. And well, pretty classical week I would say for me in EVE Online. We got a couple of skilling spree days as well, so a good reason for me to take the Ishtar out and do a little bit of anomaly cleaning, maybe a little bit of exploration as well, although at the moment my other focus is going towards my daily stuff, like my PI of course. If you follow EVE Talk, you know, more 1 year high points, lots of capital ship production is driving demand for both minerals, but especially PI at the moment. Advanced PI materials at 1 year high point, so I'm just making as much as I can, bring it straight to the market and selling it as quickly as possible. Next to that, the blueprint copy business, still a rather mixed picture for the dreadnoughts. A couple of them are really cheap, I would say, hardly any profits when I put those on contract, but some of the others are like above 10 million, nice 9 million profit for a single BPC, so it's still a very mixed picture, but we're keeping up with all of that, and I still have to actually, I think, bring a couple of structure blueprints down to Galente space so I can put that into the BPC mix as well. Next to that, not that much to report, except of course I've been keeping up with the heraldry system as well, just doing the mission that the NPC gives you on a daily basis. I know that you can browse through them and then go for more expensive ships, but I'm willing to just, you know, do whatever it is that's given on a daily basis and then be happy with the points that we get there. But CCP is planning to expand that system, so we shouldn't just get alliance logos and corporation logos, but potentially you can get some other heraldry to change the way your ship looks with like holograms and things like that for your favorite ships. That could be interesting, so I'm slowly going to, I think, start saving up my points at this time as well. And then next to that, of course, there was all of this talk about you also contribute to your corporation points, which might then eventually, well, those might be the plans, but we'll see, of course, what CSP managed to do. But that might lead to corporation and alliance skins and also heraldry for the structures that your corporations and alliances own. So that could be very cool, of course, although that also means that they might need to lower the thresholds at the moment for structures, because I'm still not convinced that a solo player or a tiny corporation will have a good time trying to deploy structures in EVE Online at the moment. But maybe give us like smaller structures that don't necessarily last forever or something like that. Still think that could be an option, but obviously that is not on the radar at the moment, because CCP dropped an article with basically a roadmap for 2023, and to me it looks pretty interesting and far more classical, the old school way of development for EVE Online, at least from my perspective, because Q1, of course, we still have the follow-up to the expansion itself with the allegiance system, so that you can basically choose to support your faction of choice. And what I like there as well is that they called high-sec systems Homefront, so there's definitely plans to involve or to give us activities that you can do from high-sec to then more slowly transition towards the hardcore PvP low-sec action that is faction warfare. So that could be very interesting, especially for my perspective, because I play the game solo, and so I need that lower threshold. If I go out there in a ship all by myself, I can't really make any positive contributions, I don't think. But we will of course see how that works out, and then I'll keep you guys up to date. But after that, Q2, we get an expansion and then 20 years of EVE Online, so we don't really know what they're planning for the expansion or anything like that, but it could be very interesting. And then in Q3 we've got the FanFest with an alliance tournament as well, and then in Q4 we get another expansion announced. That's the good old cycle for EVE Online, 2 expansions a year, usually a big one and a small one, so probably I'm expecting a smaller one in Q2 and then a large one in Q4 with big announcements at FanFest. But yeah, that means that I am definitely looking forward to 2023 to see what CCP has planned and to try to find some new goals to set for myself in EVE Online. It could be very, very interesting. And for my second game, we've got some more Total War Warhammer 3, where I have been exploring that campaign, the main campaign for the base game there, with a few more factions. So first we've got like a faction that is inspired by more Asian type of culture. I'm not really sure what the name is at the moment, but they're pretty cool because they have the range advantage, and that's really how I like to play. Put up a strong defensive line of melee units, and then behind that put lots and lots of ranged capabilities that basically outrange the enemy. And you've got that turtle playstyle, just let those corn bastards rush themselves to death to my defensive walls, and it's very cool to watch. Pretty passive of course as well, but that's the faction to do that with, because they are very strong and they've got that extra range, especially some of their artillery units. They've got a flying artillery unit with a sniper nest on top of that, with 4 guns that just keep firing as well. It's very cool. They're a unique style as well, I would say, but the campaign mode is actually, I feel, pretty hard, because they basically have to balance their yin-yang aspects throughout the entire faction. So buildings can influence that, but also research, and so you really don't have that complete freedom of, all right, what do I want to really go for in research, unless you fully plan out your armies and everything as well. So that's a little bit tricky, definitely harder to learn, but fun to play, and you can definitely get that defensive play style going with that faction. And then next to that, I also did a bit of exploration, actually a lot of exploration I should say, with the Tzeentchen faction. So we've got, I'm not sure what, Kairos, Fate Weaver I believe it's called, as your main hero, and that's kind of interesting as well. Their army can be surprisingly strong, especially against other heroes, because both their main line melee units and their secondary units are basically a bit of hybrid. They all have a ranged attack and are somewhat capable in melee, but that means that if all of them focus on the enemy hero, he melts in absolutely no time, and so that is very strong. On top of that, of course, it is a magical type of army, and so your hero and your commander and your hero, or something like that, I have 2 of them that can do crazy spells like summon up sort of a black hole that damages and drags in the unit, and of course they also have like what I feel is a decently strong single target spell, is sort of fire missiles at them, but they've got a lot of ability to keep going with those spells, to really spam them down, and that makes it a pretty damn strong faction. And then of course we've got the campaign mode, where it's just straight up cheating, because you've got to change of ways. You just have to wait like 9 or 10 turns, and then you can just say, I'm going to take that city, we change its ways, and it becomes part of my own faction. And that only works against like allies and friendlies, so non-war targets, but that means that you can basically expand on 2 fronts, right? You can nibble away cities from friendly neighborhoods while focusing your armies on your enemies and capturing their cities as well. So it's really cool. I absolutely do like that faction, and it's between Khorne and Tzeentch at the moment for me, for my favorite faction in Total War Warhammer 3. There's still a few others that I really have to look at, like Kislev itself, and then I think it's like Chaos United, where you basically continue the prologue campaign as well, because that Kislevian general turns into a demon of chaos. So that's more stuff for me to do. I'm definitely having fun with the game, especially when you find some cool combinations and you can make your armies a little bit stronger, start to roll over the enemy. I am playing on easy to explore it here at first, but I'm having fun with Total War Warhammer 3, and I would say, yeah, maybe wait a few more patches. I do think that there's more stuff, or a little bit more explanation for me, because I still have to do the Mortal Empire stuff. I haven't even touched that at this point. But I'm still not sure about like the late game in there. I've heard complaints about it, and it does feel like, yeah, you gotta get into that realm, so it's really all about just bumping up a single army, and then you'll have some sort of a final battle, and that's it. So we'll see how all of that works out, but for now, yeah, I'm definitely having a lot of fun with Total War Warhammer 3. I would basically, if you like strategy games and 4X games, I would kind of recommend it at even a slight discount. And that was my last week in games, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.